All right, welcome back to another episode of the Be a Better You podcast. I am your host, Allison K. Dagney, and we are talking all about emotional abuse things in October because it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I am dedicating each episode in this month to helping raise awareness about emotional abuse. Now, last week we talked about the broad common signs like gaslighting and coercive control, minimization. So if you didn't get a chance to listen, you can go back and listen to that. But today we're going to be diving into the subtle tactics that a lot of people don't even realize are abuse, and maybe some of these you've never even heard of. But they are abuse, and it's important that we know what these things are. So I lived these things, and at the time, I didn't have words for what was happening. I didn't know what emotional abuse was. I didn't even know what the word narcissist was. And to me, it just felt confusing and overwhelming, and like I was the problem. I was always the one in the wrong. And now that I know better, I know that these behaviors are classic emotional abuse tools and tactics. And once you can name them, you can really see them for what they are. So we're going to go through that. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of these. I'm going to give you four different ones, and probably a few of these you've heard of, probably some you haven't. So the first one I'm going to talk about is triangulation. And triangulation is when, think of it like a triangle. There's you and two other people, and they're all triangulating between each other, meaning there's a creation of competition or jealousy or insecurity. So this could be like you and your husband, your wife, whomever, and then they bring a third party in to triangulate, to start gossiping about you, to get them upset, to get you upset. And really, this can be like really difficult to deal with. I experienced this a lot with my ex and his family. So like if we were in an argument or something, he would triangulate by bringing his mom into the middle of our disagreement. Oh, I bet you other people would agree with me. Let's ask them, right? So creating more drama, creating insecurity in you, different things like that. That's what triangulation is. And honestly, it can be really, really frustrating and maddening. So if this is happening to you or has happened to you, please know that this is an actual tool that someone uses to abuse. Another one that I actually experienced a lot was word salad or circular conversations, call it whatever you want, but it's where this person is deliberately trying to exhaust you or disorient you. So they'll say things that are like very confusing. They don't make a lot of sense. The words don't match the actions. The words from the first part of the conversation don't match the second part. It's like really, really wild. There's no like linear fashion to it. And you're supposed to keep up and you're supposed to understand. And if you don't, then they're going to accuse you of being X, Y, or Z, or you don't understand, or there's something wrong with you. But really the reality is they are creating confusion on purpose. They are doing this to make you feel insecure, unworthy, stupid, whatever, right? So you've got to be aware of what this is. It's not you. It's somebody deliberately trying to confuse and disorient you. Another one that you may or may not be aware of is the intrusive stare, okay? Now, the intrusive stare, you may see this inside relationships, but you might see it on social media. And I'm going to tell you what this is. So this is where it's like almost somebody looking you so directly in your eyes that they're like trying to peer into your soul. Okay, I'm not just talking about general eye contact. This is like they don't even want to look away from you. They're literally trapping you into a stare. And that can be uncomfortable, right? Like and you might look away, and then they're upset and they're trying to get you to like be in their eyes and in their face. They make it really close to you, even like if you're in a physical space with them. It's like an intimidation kind of thing, and it makes you feel small. And when I say you might see these things on social media, if you're watching a live or you're watching a Facebook live or something like that, and the person is like leaning really close to the camera and their eyes do not come off the camera screen, like they're not looking around, they're not like talking with their hands or being expressive, or like it's literally like trying to peer into your soul or like moon blink you. I don't know what else to call it, but it's an intrusive stare. It's intruding into your like soul, I guess. I mean, it's really hard to explain, but based on how I'm describing it, I'm hoping you understand what I'm talking about. But like sometimes this happens without somebody even having to say anything, where they'll like, it's almost like the evil eye, and they just stare at you. And I've heard people say this. I've seen it too with my own eyes, where especially narcissistic people, when they get really angry and full of rage, their eyes go black. Like you'll see, it will be like, oh my gosh, like their eyes just go black. Now, I have a theory on this. I think it's because they're in a predatory state. And when somebody's in a predatory state, their pupils dilate and they get bigger. So it makes the colored part of their eyes less visible. So you're seeing more of the black part of their eye. So that's part of this. So if you've ever experienced anything like that, please know you're not crazy. This is a real thing. Okay. The last one is negging, not nagging, negging, like an egg, like EGG, NEGGING. And if you've never heard of this, I'll explain and give you an example of what this is. So negging is like basically in a nutshell, it's like backhanded compliments. It's weird. So, but you'll know exactly when I say it, give you some examples. So like if somebody said to you, oh, wow, I love that dress. It's really cute. It was so popular a couple years ago, right? This is like kind of like maybe if you remember watching Mean Girls, like that kind of thing. If somebody said like, oh, you look great. It's awesome that you finally made an effort. You're so pretty. For somebody who wears makeup or some, like it's like these things, it's like makes you go, huh? Like, what did they just say? Like, did they really just say that? So backhanded compliments, right? They sound like they're praising you, but they're really insulting you. So the purpose is really to undermine you and your confidence and make you look for their approval. Okay? Because we have to remember, with emotional abuse, the abuser wants to be in control. That's their main goal, to be in control, and the best way that they can do that is to strip you of your autonomy over yourself, to take away your self-worth, to make you feel like you have to lean on them, and that's going to make them feel better. So this is all calculated, and it's only to serve them. Okay, so these 4 things, triangulation, word salad, the intrusive stare, and negging, are all these unusual things that maybe you've heard of and maybe you haven't. And if you've got other ones, I'd love to hear about them. Send them my way, and maybe I can add or address them on the podcast as well. But again, the reason these things are abusive is because they're trying to create some sort of control or confusion or erase your individuality or your sense of self or your ability to like make decisions on your own and make you sort of rely on them. So these kinds of things, when you're being abused, will build up over time. And especially because, like I said on the last episode, is that these things become patterns of behavior. These aren't just one-time things. These are things that you will notice continually happening over and over and over again. Okay? So a lot of times survivors will think like, oh, maybe I'm overreacting, or maybe they were just joking, or maybe they didn't mean it that way, right? Or this isn't abuse because they never hit me or they don't yell at me. Like my ex-husband never even said a cuss word. I mean, maybe I heard him yell like once or twice ever in 17 years. And I never heard him say a cuss word one time. He would say things like, oh, you're being that word that I can't say. And of course I knew what he meant, but that didn't erase the intention of what was behind the words that he wasn't speaking either. So these are very covert, kind of sneaky, hidden ways for people who are abusive to gain control. And so it's important for you to be aware of them. Okay, so I'm going to give you one really big, important awareness tool off of this episode. Confusion in a relationship is a huge red flag. Love should not feel like constant second guessing. It shouldn't be where your mind is so full of confusion. You can't see straight, think straight, do anything, right? That is not normal, okay? Again, I have to remind you though, if you're no longer in that relationship, you're out of it, but let's say you're in a new relationship and these things keep presenting and you're like, I don't know, maybe I'm in an emotionally abusive relationship again, or maybe it's my trauma and I'm just like bringing it into the new relationship. That's very normal. Sometimes we can't tell the difference, okay, because our bodies are so stuck in that old trauma. But that's what I help with, and that's what I can help you with, and then we can untangle it together, okay? So this podcast, the reason for creating this podcast is to help you see what you might have been missing, so that, or maybe that you weren't even aware of, so that you can start to trust yourself again, and so that you can help others and be aware of these things, and like open your eyes and like, oh my gosh, like I never knew this behavior was abusive, and now I'm starting to see that this friend of mine is abusive, right? Or this person from my past was abusive, right? So we have to be aware of these things. So what I would love for you to do, and I mentioned this last week too, because all of October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I would love to get the word out about my podcast. So leaving a review for this show really helps other people find it. And the reason why is because of the algorithm. The more reviews that I get, the more it's going to show my podcast to people who are looking for podcasts in this genre of like self-help, self-development. So if you're doing this in like collaboration with me because you're a listener and you find value in this, then at the same moment, somebody else who needs this podcast will see it too. That's my hope. So what if this is the first one you're tuning into, you didn't hear last week, I'm going to recap. If you screenshot your review, so go wherever you listen, leave that review, and hopefully you can leave a 5-star. That would be amazing. And then tag me on social media with the review so that I can see that you did it, and then I have notification. So on Instagram or Facebook, my handle is Allison K. Dagney. Just tag me with your review. And then as a gift to you for doing that and helping me raise awareness and bring my podcast to others, I'm going to send you my I'm Worthy Immersion program for absolutely free. This is $197 if you were to go on my website and purchase it. So if you're thinking about purchasing it, just leave a review and I'll give it to you for free. That is how important this is to me. This program is going to give you the tools that you need to start rebuilding your worth after abuse. And this is the foundation for healing. We have to find the worth and the value of who we are inside of ourselves. And that's why I created that particular program. And I'm going to be honoring this beyond October because awareness and healing are always needed, and not just during Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Okay, so I would really appreciate that. And next episode, we're going to talk about the cycle that keeps you hooked. That is love bombing, devaluation, and discard, this pattern. And we're going to talk more about trauma bonds and why they make it so hard to leave. So if you've ever asked yourself, like, why didn't I leave sooner? Why didn't I just walk away? Then that episode is going to give you more insight into that. So thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. And I will talk to you next week.